Absolutely. Compared to me, I would say you look 1,000 times more presidential. But I really like this list. So I'd like to think maybe the best way to go about it is I'll talk about obviously I'll share both aspects, but I like this list. I think you did a good job coming up with the subject matter. So how about we go ahead and share it with the audience? Yeah. All right. Good morning, everyone. It is President's Day. In honor of President's Day, a couple of things. You'll notice Brick is wearing a patriotic tie, a little red, white, and blue. In addition to that, in honor of President's Day, we wanted to talk about the topic of being presidential. So that topic, in the sense of like, what are the positives and maybe some of the not so positives of having a presidential demeanor, especially as it pertains to management and leadership. 1 second. I need to straighten your tie here a little bit, buddy. It's a little. Well, you lost weight. I know, and it's okay though. We'll figure it out. We'll get you worked out. Brick's lost some weight, so his tie is not quite fitting perfectly. But in any case, we just want to kind of run through a few items because as leaders and managers, one of the things that I've observed over the years is that when someone is promoted into a position of authority, they oftentimes their demeanor changes. In some cases, they become much more quote unquote presidential, meaning that they take on a more professional air about them, which is great. I think it actually does set a good tone in a lot of ways. There are some elements, however, that I would call out to say, take caution with, because it can also alienate you from your team, and it can also cause some disruption in what was already a strong working organization. So, or it can have the opposite effect. It can also bolster the team, and it can also, really give them a sense of purpose and guidance. So that's why I want to be really, really particular about how we address this topic. So I'm going to just throw out a few, and again, not a comprehensive list. These are just a few things that Brick and I have discussed that we feel like represent some of the pros and the cons of, the presidential air. We'll start with a couple of the good ones. One of the really good aspects of carrying yourself in a presidential manner, which, by the way, the dictionary definition is somewhere along the lines of someone who acts in a professional and dignified manner. One becoming of a head of state, or a president, aka a head of state. So some of the pros are, one would be they instill confidence. They give a large group of people, and maybe even a small group, but typically a large group of people as well, this sense that that everything is in order, that there is a structure, that there is a plan. So that's a really positive aspect. Another is, it minimizes to some degree, depending on how you look at it, but it can minimize some of the divisiveness that can happen, because it's more of a political sort of approach. So it allows the individual to address both sides of say a disagreement and find some degree of middle ground. So I would say that's a really positive attribute. At the same time, the political piece of it can also potentially come off as a little bit disingenuous, but we'll actually sort of use that to segue over to a couple of the negatives, which is, if you've suddenly changed your personality to be more presidential, or to be presidential when you've not been before, it can definitely make you seem disingenuous. It'll seem rehearsed. It may seem as if you're trying to be something that you're not. Another thing that it can do is it can give the impression to people that you're distant or disconnected from them. That's definitely a flag to look out for if you choose to start to insert a little bit more quote unquote professionalism into your personality, if you will. Let's see. Back to a couple of the positives here. Establish a degree of professionalism and respect. And what I mean by this is, if the organization that you work with, the teams that you work with, or what have you, often seem very, very loose and very informal. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. What I will say is that there are moments where it's helpful to have a little bit of a higher degree of composure that someone who brings in a presidential type quality can sort of help to legitimize, especially when it comes to having to present things or address issues. So having that type of personality trait can kind of come in and swoop in and kind of help even things out a little bit. And then let's see, on the negative side, a negative side aspect would be oftentimes you may give safe answers, not the real answers. You'll give those answers that people say, oh, he's towing the company on the line, or she's telling us what we want to hear, not what we need to hear, or what have you. And that oftentimes sort of plays back into if it's not your normal personality trait, and you're not really adept at answering questions, in a way that need to be stated sometimes, because sometimes all of the information is not the greatest, because it can cause people to generate with an imagination some crazy ideas and things, and cause some discord that you don't really want. The other, and this is the last sort of what I would call negative one that I've got on my list, is it can just make an individual seem unapproachable. So want to be really cautious about that. And then really want to end it on a positive note by saying the other thing that having a presidential air about one is that it can inspire a sense of greatness within the organization. If your organization has been around for a while, or if it's just getting started, in either case, there may be dips in where you feel like, this is the best place to work. And sometimes you bring in somebody who has just that right X factor, that presidential quality, we'll call it in this case. And with that, they bring with them a lot of confidence that gives everyone else confidence. So consider all aspects of this. There should be, I think, a healthy blend of some degree of presidential quality, as well as some degree of more, or I would say less, I guess in this case, political air about it. It's a practiced and important aspect of a business leader. As a manager, I think it helps to pull people together, and I also think that it helps to get the business moving in a direction that you want it to, if it's not already, and if it is already, then it helps kind of continue to propel it forward. So consider all sides, and remember, even if you have those presidential qualities, even if you have or you don't have those presidential qualities, or you have some of them, everybody is fallible, right? So we can make mistakes, and one of the things that we ought to be able to do as people is to recognize that, and have some grace to be able to allow for some of it, and make sure that we can let people redeem themselves to the best of their abilities, assuming they want to. Again, this is the President's Day edition, so we really appreciate everyone's time. Have a great day. Look forward to talking to you the rest of the week. So have a good day.